again what someone said, you can see it posted at the Chamber's YouTube channel. And as well, all of you that have been on the calls in the past, you know that we follow up with an email and send you additional information that was covered in the meeting, as well as the link to the recording. So, hi, Mayor. How are you? Good to see you.
It's good to see you again, Susan, Eli, Margaret. Another week, right? I want to thank, of course, the Metro South Chamber of Commerce and everybody that does this. It used to be every week. Now it's every other week, but the information is invaluable. And just to give you a quick update relative to COVID, I mean, we're in the thick of things here, and the numbers are trending in the wrong direction. We've lost another person overnight, so we're 309 deaths, 309 loss of residents here in the City of Champions. We picked up 19 new cases within 24 hours, so our current count now is 514 total positive cases here in the City of Brockton, and overall, since the state calculated, 5,712. So Dr. Herman did a wonderful job giving an update to the school committee the other night. As you all know, we're 100% remote in Brockton Public Schools. We took our original vote, which was going to expire next week, November 19th, which is the first term. Since we are 100% remote, other school districts have followed our lead. Cardinal-Spellman was 100% in person. They're 100% remote now. Southeastern Regional was a hybrid. They're 100% remote. And then New Heights Charter was a hybrid, and they're 100% remote as well. So it does look like we took a vote the other night in subcommittee that December 23rd, we're going to push it through December 23rd, but the vote would be ratified this coming Tuesday. So it looks like the BPS will still be remote through December 23rd, which is the last day before the holiday break. So again, we're really, our focus right now is to have a healthy, safe environment in the schools and in the city. But also we're cognizant of the fact that, and I have 3 kids myself, and it's a difficult, challenging time every single day, you know, and we're not shortchanging that. We understand that we need to get our special needs students of special education back into the classroom settings much more conducive. So we'll be taking a vote next week. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're doing an ambassador program. There's a job ad out now on Brockton, City of Brockton website. If anybody's interested, it's going to be an hourly ambassador. We're going to hire people to get out in the community and continue to just be vigilant and diligent on COVID best practices. It's being run through the Board of Health office, but it is, if people are looking for employment, it is going to be a paid job. And we did something similar in scope to get our census numbers up, right? We paid some people through a wonderful state grant. So that's kind of where we are right now. I yearn for the days I'll come forward and say, hey, we have 0 cases and we're in the green and this is red, white, and blue and we're ready to go. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
So, Mayor, I had a question about the numbers of 19. Is that just residents of Brockton, or does that take in the surrounding communities that come to Brockton Hospital?
Just the City of Brockton.
Okay.
They vet it out and they do it strictly by a legal residential address.
Okay.
So I was just on a call with Kim Holland, CEO of Signature, and Sue Joss and Dr. Maria Celli at Neighborhood Health Center, and also Matt Hesketh at Good Sam. And they're stretched right now. They have a lot of current patients in the ICU and in the hospital. So we're seeing this everywhere in the nation. So, you know, we have to continue our efforts. And that's why what Margaret and Sue and Eli share is really valuable, because we need to provide resources and information so that when we're post-COVID, and we will be, I just don't know when it's going to be, you know, we're going to have to move in a manner that provides services. Now, one thing that I'm very unhappy, but I did a interview this morning with the Boston Globe, is the proposed changes to the commuter rail. Our residents, a lot of them are essential workers that take the train in to Boston and Quincy and the like. And also a lot of our city residents use that mode of transportation to get in for health providers, the Boston hospitals. Never mind weekends. You know, I jump on the train with my kids to go to the museum. So I get it from a financial component. From a practical standpoint, I'm opposed to it, and I'm going to continue to be loud about that. I don't think it's going to be a good thing for the City of Brockton and neighboring communities.
So in response to that question, I guess the state has a great resource that lists communities, and then how many people have tested positive. So if folks want to aggregate that region, they can go to that website with the state and then see how many in Brockton, how many in West Bridgewater, how many in Easton. Yes. And then and get a better sense of how it is in the region. Wanted to ask you about the $10,000 grants. I know those have been available, and very many small businesses have been able to access that. Are there still funds available?
Yes, yes, there are, Chris. And thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, it's business assistance and it's free money. It's a $10,000 grant. You don't have to pay it back. There's no interest. It's yours. But there are parameters, and some people have complained to my office, hey, make the application easier. It's a Fed HUD application. I have nothing to do with the application, and we need to provide what the federal government is requiring, and it's, tax returns and the like. So the money is there. The BRA, Brockton Redevelopment Authority, and Mass Hire across the street from City Hall are the catalysts for that, the agents for that. And again, if people have any interest, call my office, 508-580-7123, or go on the city website, the BRA website, or Mass Hire website. It's there. And I would urge anybody and everybody to please take advantage of that.
Okay, I appreciate that update. And you understand why there are checks and balances to that. They
Yep.
want to make sure people that are in business, and we still get every now and then someone will walk in the chamber office saying, "I just heard about this. I didn't realize there was money," and they get the grant. They just didn't hear about it. No one had mentioned it to them. They hadn't seen it anywhere. And then on the other hand, you get folks that say, "I'm in business," and they've been doing business, but maybe not filing taxes enough quarters, or haven't been established long enough to qualify for the 10,000. So that's just part of the program. They're really trying to keep people in business, not get people into business. This is not a business startup grant. This is a grant for businesses that are already up and running that need a little bit of a bridge financing to get to the other side of this.
That's
So
right, Chris. One thing we had yesterday, just to share with everybody, because it was a game changer in Brockton yesterday. Under the CARES Act, the county officials came and presented me, and I'll never get this again, a check for $7 million that I held in my hand. The game changer there is it's reimbursing us penny for penny for every laptop we bought. So if there is a silver lining, people say there's a silver lining to COVID. It's tough to see that with 309 dead, but I guess if there is a silver lining, we're now a one-to-one school district, meaning every boy and girl in Brockton Public Schools has a laptop, not one per family. We front-loaded it, we purchased it on the school side, and we just got reimbursed yesterday over $7 million under the CARES Act. So that was a great thing for Brockton yesterday.
That's extraordinary. That is, I know that was the county had applied for funds directly from the feds under CARES. So that's great that Brockton has benefited as the only city in the county. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Testing, we're getting folks now asking, for the first time, folks have been in contact with someone and are trying to figure out, what do I do? Because, right, I think we've all been in this boat in the last 4, 5, 6 weeks is, in my case, my child came home, I got a notice saying that they had been in class with someone who had tested positive. They're out for the next 2 weeks. Then we had to get tested. People for the first time are finding out that they were exposed to someone. What can they do? What advice do you have for them in the city of Brockton to get tested?
Yeah, I mean, I urge everybody with symptoms and without symptoms to please get tested, right? Be proactive. And we still have the drive-up testing in collaboration with Brockton Neighborhood Health Center outside of Brockton High School. I had a test day last Monday again, and it came back negative, so that was good.
Right.
But the day that I was there, this is Murphy's Law, was the last day that they do, I call it the brain. They take the Q-tip up to the brain. They stopped doing that on Tuesday morning. They do the soft, gentle one now at Brockton High, and also at Massasoit Community College, Stop the Spread campaign with Fallon Ambulance. So it's free. They do ask you for insurance information and the like, but you have to pre-call. You call Neighborhood Health Center, and they would set up a time. You drive up. It's really seamless. And I urge everybody to be proactive, and it doesn't hurt anymore. So you won't get the brain stick that I had.
That's great to hear. And my understanding from what you just described is there's not a long car line of cars like we've seen on the news in other parts.
No, I mean, I was in and out of there in 6 minutes. They give you a standing time. You drive up on the Forest Ave entrance. You go by Marciano Stadium, and it's very, very professional. Now, I've had some friends and constituents use the Massasoit one as well. Same thing. It's really seamless, and you get the results. I get the results back in about 28 hours, 30 hours, something like that. So it's something that I would urge everybody to consider.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very helpful. Did have a colleague who called their primary care physician affiliated with Good Sam They were told, given a time, I guess there's a tent behind Good Sam as well. They were told to go there at a certain time. He said it was less than 5 minutes.
Yep.
And they did it for him through the window, and he got his negative, fortunately, test a couple days later. So
Yeah,
that's
you bring
great.
up a good point, Chris. I'm sorry. Yeah, up on with the Moakley section, the Moakley entrance of Good Sam. They have a tent up there at Good Samaritan, the old Cardinal Cushing as well. So good point, Chris. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So if you have questions for the mayor, just post them down below. Going to move over to Margaret now at Mass Office of Business Development. I know, Susan, you're off at 2:30. If you have anything to chime in on, please do so, especially as it relates to the job share. My understanding is that job share, a lot of folks are coming up on the end of job share. So now they can extend for possibly another 26 weeks. And there is a little bit of a process to that from what I'm learning. But let me jump over to Margaret, because I know there's been a lot of activity around these $25,000 grants and these $75,000 grants that the state announced 2 weeks ago from the MGCC. Can you talk a little bit about that and if there's any money left?
Sure. I am going to do a quick slide deck, and that is in there. And I should note, Mr. Mayor, that's great that it's the gentle approach now in Brockton. I too had the brain tickle, and it was awful. But I want to make note before we started, the mayor referenced $10,000 Brockton grants and the HUD paperwork. I really want people to know, Sue and I always, every week, we're on here with you to talk about technical assistance, free technical assistance. So the MSBDC, the Center for Women Enterprise, Small Be Strong, any of those resources can help businesses with this paperwork. It doesn't really matter what it's for. We want to be there to help you to get things like the Brockton grant application over the finish line. So I get it, it's intimidating, but there is help available, it's free, and we want to get you connected. So most definitely we can refer you. You have questions, reach out to Sue and I. We'll connect you directly. So we're going to just a couple quick slides here as we're approaching the Thanksgiving holiday, and it sounds like we'll be back with you in December. I want to wish everyone on behalf of Sue and I a happy Thanksgiving. If you are traveling, this is the map of the lower risk states in the Commonwealth. You hear us talk about if you're traveling out of state to a higher risk state, you're required to submit a travel advisory form, quarantine for 14 days, or go to Brockton and get the free, simpler, gentler COVID test and get those negative results promptly. So there's clear states to travel to at this point: DC, Hawaii, Maine, New Hampshire, New York, Vermont, and Washington. This info does change, and that's the link to find it. And I should also tell you, wherever you're going, there could be rules about what Massachusetts travelers need to do if we are a higher risk than those states. So make sure you're checking for that information. Last week, there was a lot of media around some of the updates that the governor talked about, and sector-specific protocols, we often talk about this, have been updated. This is for phase 3, step 2, step 1, everything's been updated. But just last week when we talked about the early business closures and things, sector-specific protocols have been updated for arcades, indoor and outdoor game and recreation businesses, close contact personal services, drive-in theaters, fitness centers and health clubs, golf, indoor and outdoor events, museums and the cultural facilities, places of worship, restaurants, retail, and performance venues. These are the advisory executive orders. A lot of media around this, but just really wanted to let people know where to get to the information if they're looking to have things clarified. The early business closures as of 9:30, the stay-at-home advisory between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., the revised face covering order, and of course the revised gatherings order, what applies to people in private residence with 10 people indoor, 25 outdoor for private residents. And then this, Chris, was what you're looking to have me talking about. I am glad to say that the deadline has been extended. So if you are watching, there is still time. And again, there is free technical assistance. That's someone who's going to help you get the paperwork. You don't understand the question? Listen, there's no stupid questions, right? Anything they want to do to help get you submitted. And I should recognize that Brockton as a gateway city is a priority. So as we're talking about how we want to distribute this money, there's 2 buckets of funding. One is through the Community Development Block Grant, which is HUD standards, right? paperwork intensive, and that is for the businesses for 5 or under. There's some flexibility with this, what you can spend the money on. So it's for your payroll, it's for your rent, it's for your utilities, but it's also for working capital. So there's a little bit more flexibility. However, it's a little bit more stringent to qualify. But really, this is that small business and micro business. We are having, when the governor and the administration released these funds, we're talking about who needs our help, who wasn't able to access other resources, who didn't get PPP. Are you a minority business, woman-owned business, veteran-owned business? How can we help you? And so the criteria and scoring is helping prioritize those businesses. And so if particularly that applies to you and you're in a gateway city like Brockton, you're in the priority buckets for this funding. And so the second is for the first under 5 has that low mod income HUD guideline. And if you don't qualify under low mod income and you have less than five or less employees, you can still apply under the grants for 50 or fewer employees. So I want to be clear, there's free technical assistance. The link is at the bottom of this slide, and it's available in all of the languages I've listed here. And the form, if you need technical assistance, is available in all those languages, and they'll have somebody to provide technical assistance for you in whichever language is needed for you. And then the last piece is that Love My Local. This is a marketing campaign started by the Commonwealth, really with the travel advisories in place and people in Massachusetts staying here, staying close to home. We're saying, what can we celebrate in our own backyard? So what is there in Brockton? What is there in the Metro South Chamber that we can, share and communicate about each other, particularly as it's supporting Small Business Week coming up in that holiday season. So one way to do so is to get join our free commercial, right? So the Commonwealth's picking up airtime on local media. One of those is going to be on the iHeart radio stations. And here is our phone number. We want you to call and record a message to support your local business. It's 781-350-1800. And just a quick one-line message, right? It's your name, your business, your community, and what you're encouraging others to do. Dine, travel, stay local. So we really encourage Brockton to help spread the word and let other Massachusetts residents know what we can do in Brockton. Toolkit is available for you to utilize any of these logos, the flyers, and when you're doing social media, hashtag MyLocalMA, hashtag LoveMyLocal. And as always, you have Sue and I's contact information. We're here. If there's something I'm talking about on these webinars, you want more information on, a program you've heard about, we welcome you to contact us, understanding your sector-specific guidance. And again, on behalf of the Baker-Polito administration and the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development, we do wish you a great, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Margaret. Just great information. Both Margaret and Susan are available. I've referred many people to them. They get right back to them, and folks usually get back to me going, they were great. They really did answer my questions. They connected me with somebody I couldn't get a hold of, or I didn't know who to speak with. So we're very lucky to have both Margaret and Susan on the call. Susan just dropped off, I think. She said she had at 2:30. She did post some information down below there for folks that are looking for information on extending unemployment, or telling your employer, or if you're an employer, about WorkShare, which can really be very helpful to employers in terms of their payroll costs, saving a lot of payroll costs and still keeping folks engaged with benefits. So it's really a win-win all the way around. Wanted to also thank Sue Joss. She just posted a link directly for the testing over at Brockton Hospital. Sue Joss, of course, is the president and CEO of the Brockton Neighborhood Health Center, and she's on the call, and she just posted some information down below. So if you know someone who needs to be tested, if you want to be tested, just follow that link, and you can set up an appointment really easily. Good to hear that that soft approach is now out. So want to jump over to Eli Espayo. Eli's back with us from the United States Small Business Administration. I know you guys are maybe happy to have a little bit of a calm before the storm, which means that the SBA will be possibly reinfused with $500 million, maybe more, of dollars through that CARES Extended Act Phase 4. So what can you tell us? I have some notes here because I just received an email from Seed Corporation, which, as you know, is an SBA affiliate, and I'm going to give you some of the loan rates. Maybe you can react to it, but I've never seen anything this low. So you can get a 504 loan right now for 20 years at 262, and Seed will cover your fees up front. And you can also go 25 years for 271. You can buy machinery. Now, this is something new I hadn't seen under the 504. Machinery and equipment for your business. I don't know if that involves vehicles. So for snow plowers, landscapers, that type of thing. But that's a 10-year at 223. I mean, that's just remarkable and gives some hope to some of the small businesses that are looking to expand. How are you?
So, Chris, you're doing great. You know, it's great to be here with you again and the rest of the group. You know, great update from the mayor and Margaret, and you know, thank you as always for putting this event together. So just to you know, comment a little bit on the rates, it truly is remarkable when you think about it. You know, we have seen just over the summer rates slightly lower, right? But you know, 25 years at 2.7%, it's free money, no matter how you look at it. And obviously, you have to also remember that, you know, this interest on commercial loans is, you know, a business expense. So you got to account for a quarter or more of that to go towards a write-off. So truly, I mean, we're talking, you know, cost of capital near zero, right? So with everything accounted for. So great program. You know, there's no doubt that the 504 is still on fire, and I think those rates are part of the reason. To the machinery and equipment that you mentioned earlier, that, you know, can go up to 10 years, or the useful life of the machinery and equipment, but no roll-in equipment can be financed.
Okay.
So
All right.
anything that's got wheels on, basically,
Okay.
right? That's how we define it. So this is particularly for, you know, heavy and industrial machinery and equipment. You know, there are some exceptions to the roll-in, you know, equipment. If we're talking like a large crane or some sort of machine that, you know, it really is not, you know, to be driven, right?
Okay.
But there's definitely, like, solar panels, believe it or not, you know, could qualify under that program.
Oh.
You know, and they could qualify for the energy efficiency program that the 504 has. There's many, you know, nuances to the 504 loan program. It's got, you know, it's got a refinance with expansion, and another, you know, subset that's a refinance of existing debt without expansion. The second of the two, right, the one without expansion, allows for some, you know, permanent working capital to be included into, you know, the project. So without spending too much time on it, I'll tell you that for some small business owners that own their own real estate, and we know real estate has appreciated in value over the past few years, it is not a terrible idea to perhaps look at refinancing the existing mortgage on that commercial property, roll in some permanent, right, working capital that may be needed, right, into a 25-year repayment.
Okay.
There is, you know, we are seeing here at the district office, small businesses, you know, everyone is rethinking their business model in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But particularly, you know, folks are looking at their debt load, right? With the pandemic stretching, you know, a lot further than anyone had imagined, you know, the trend's going the opposite way. You know, the new cases on the rise. Folks are rethinking whether, you know, how much working capital they need, how to restructure their debt load. You know, they're looking at this other options, and for the most part, with the exception of the few grants that, you know, we've been talking about on these programs time and again, everything else is a loan. So no one needs more debt in an uncertain time, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, there's good debt and there's bad debt, right? In the commercial, you know, lending arena, you know, anything that it's got longer term repayments that's secured by hard collateral. So going back to the 504 that you mentioned, you know, great program for that reason. the rates being as low as they are, some variations of the program that can really help long term, the small business community. So thank you for bringing that up. So a
Yeah.
couple of updates, not a whole lot on the proposed legislation. Our stance on that. A lot could change, but we welcome, we welcome any new funding for small businesses. We're ready. And, we learned from the previous, few phases of the PPP. I mean, the program is no longer a new program. So I think it makes the most sense, right, for Congress to refund and reauthorize the funds that are left in that program. I mean, there's very little that we now don't know, that our lenders don't know, that perhaps many small businesses don't know about the PPP loan program. So definitely, that's welcome news if and when it happens. On the EIDL front, we are seeing approvals on a regular basis. We are now seeing small businesses that did not apply in the past, or who applied for the grant but did not take the loan because they did not need it at the time, go back and reapply. So if there's anyone, on the line today that perhaps did not apply or applied and withdrew their application, you can still reapply, right? So if the application was withdrawn, if the application basically, if it was denied, it's a different story. You have to request a reconsideration. But if you withdrew it or you just timed out, then just as easy to reapply. It's a 3-page application. It takes less than 10 minutes if you've got all your information handy. So very easy process. We are seeing a number, or I should say, a higher instance of fraud under the EIDL program. So just want to make folks aware real quick here that we are now issuing invoices for the EIDL loans approved. So if you get an invoice in the mail addressed to an individual or the business, and you did not apply for an EIDL loan from the SBA, reach out to our office. Okay, so our district office number is 617-565-5590. And reach out to us, reach out to me directly. My number is 617-565-5569. And we will get to the bottom of it. There's a few things that need to happen. But this has been for the last few weeks. As a matter of fact, the SBA has been issuing this invoices because some people don't have their credit monitored. So the EIDL loans do require a hard pull on the credit, and because folks don't have the credit monitored, loans are getting approved without people knowing, right? So if their identity has been compromised in the past, the unscrupulous people have saved that data right somewhere, and they're reusing it. And I mean, these are unprecedented times, as we've been talking about. It is unfortunate, but the agency, as you know, it has made the process very easy for those who truly need the help, right? And there's not that many checks and balances other than what's on the public records through the credit report. So if somebody's got access to your credit, if they've got access to your personally identifiable information, they can easily get past the checks and balances we have in place. So again, if you do receive an invoice in the mail, don't panic. It's something that can be addressed. It is unfortunate, because it's an inconvenience you don't need at a time like this.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Good advice. That EIDL is also, there's a flood EIDL, right, as well.
the drought.
Yes,
the drought.
Yeah, the drought. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So the drought emergency, again, declaration allowed for a second economic injury disaster loan to be issued. As I mentioned earlier, if folks are looking at their debt load, right? So this program is one of those good types of debt, right? Because it is a longer repayment, right? It's very low interest rates. It's directly from the government, no cost to obtain it, deferred for 12 months, right? And yes, I'm biased, I represent the agency, but I honestly can tell folks that there is nothing better out there. as far as a loan option goes, right? So again, take advantage of it if you haven't already. If you've been affected by the drought, the pandemic, whatever the case may be, it is one of those good loans to have, right?
Okay.
There's collateral requirements, not in the form of real estate, because all of these loans are now capped at 150,000 or less. So
Right.
there's going to be no real estate type of a collateral required. Personal guarantees have been waived up to a certain dollar amount. So pretty easy process overall. So on another front that I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes, if I may, Chris, and
Sure.
I don't know if we've got the time, but we just
Yeah.
announced the lender ranking and the loan volume report for fiscal year 2020. And obviously the 504 definitely was on fire last year. It was fueled by the lower rates. The 7A, however, was somewhat lower than the year before, but we do see that in our program is really a counter cyclical type of program. So banks use the SBA programs more frequently in a down economy. So the trend doesn't tell us that we're in a down cycle, right? Just looking at where we were on the 7A production to last year's production to year to date, and if you compare the first 40 days of the fiscal year 20 to the first 40 days of fiscal year 2021, the trends don't tell us that we're in a down cycle, which is a little odd, right? Because you see you see how the economy, whether it's locally or nationally, it's behaving, and how small businesses are hurting. Operations are at least 30% or greater of the level, less than the level seen in years prior. So there is a bit of a dilemma as far as, are we really in a down cycle or not, right? So that's the big question here. But as I mentioned, we do see bankers use us more in a down cycle. This is unique in many ways. I mean, this pandemic is affecting the way banks lend to begin with. So that could very well be the case. But as I mentioned, small businesses are also a little cautious about acquiring more debt. So
Right.
that's the other thing.
So you talked about refinancing debt, though, so that's a good option for folks to get it to a lower rate and maybe extend it out. Cash flow is so critical. I was just on a session with the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center, and they said, always remember in business, CFIMITYM. That's a lot of letters, right? But it stands for cash flow is more important than a loan from your mother, basically, is you've got to create cash flow. And it's got to be in a manner that allows you to sustain yourself as a business, because long term, we know you could have a great business, but if you don't have that cash flow to bridge the points like this, you may not get to the other side.
Absolutely. So many commercial lending programs are cash flow driven, right? So at the end of the day, right, cash is king, as they say. So no one looks at collateral. No bank is in the business of repossessing. That's what folks need to understand. So that's why cash flow is so important. The banks want to make sure that they lend to a sound business that can generate enough revenues, right, to support the debt, pay all overhead, pay the owners and employees, right, and then pay the bank at the end of the day. So that is why it's so important.
So that seed corporation, I know we started with that. I'm going to try to finish with that too. Is Angie Lapierre, Lori Driscoll, and Lisa Holmes are all the loan reps for Seed Corporation. And what they just sent me is that your bank will vet this whole process for you to qualify for a 7A loan. They come in at 50% coverage, and then Seed through SBA or SBA through Seed will cover the other 40%. Of the loan. So, and that's again at those very low rates. But if you come through one of their partner banks, they'll do the paperwork for you. So that's great. If you have existing debt and you're in a good financial position, but you're at a rate of 4 or 5, you can come down to in the 2s and extend it out 10 years. and you're already kind of busy as heck and you can't deal with the paperwork, they'll pick that piece up. Angie, Lori, and Lisa, and guide you through those that process and help you with the paperwork. And that's huge for a lot of small business owners because they're trying to do everything at one time.
It's a great benefit, through our CDCs, the Certified Development Companies, Chris, because all our certified development companies that, work with small businesses on, this debentures, they're nonprofits. I mean, they're a mission-driven type of organization. So, ultimately their goal is to get the business in a more sound financial position. So glad you mentioned it.
Great. Well, thank you. And thank you for all of the updates. Do you want to remind folks that we will have our annual meeting next Wednesday? We will have Dave McGilvery, who's the race director for the Boston Marathon and has raised millions of dollars for the Jimmy Fund. He's a motivational speaker as well as a race organizer, and he will be our feature speaker. We'll also be recognizing 10 companies that have invested more than $1 million this past year. We try to focus on the positive and the silver linings. These are companies that, despite everything that has gone on, they've moved forward their plans and done construction, opened businesses, and had the faith to move forward, and apparently the cash flow. So we'll celebrate them, as well as we'll be celebrating Eli Spayo. He's going to be our 2020 Fuller Award winner, and that's for community service, and certainly the service that he's provided us over these last 32 weeks in helping our companies in our region bridge the gap and access these loans and these grants. And it's been a huge help. So Eli, congratulations on that. I know formally we'll be getting you your award. If you haven't received it already, I think it was shipped yesterday. We'll see you on Wednesday where we officially celebrate your award. So we hope folks will join us at that event. It's going to be a great event. It'll be about an hour. It's on Wednesday, again, from noon to 1. Also wanted to mention Fusion Dolls. I think Windmere is on the call today. Fusion Dolls is on our weekly networking. So we do weekly networking, and we have a number of people who participate in that. And Fusion Dolls has been on that. And recently she was talking about an initiative to provide dolls for black dolls to people in Haiti. And so she's raised quite a bit of money to send dolls down to Haiti. It's something that we don't think of, right? She grew up in Haiti, and she told the story the other day. There's 8 million people in Haiti, and most of the dolls that were for sale or available were all white dolls, which, so she discovered there was a niche here that she could access. So as a result, some of the proceeds from the Chamber's annual meeting is going to purchase 10 dolls, and we're going to provide some of those to the hospitals. And what we find is that those hospitals, if there's a trauma situation and there's a young child who could be comforted by a stuffed animal or a doll, they'll give it to them and their family. And so we were kind of touched by the whole idea. And so we're going to support her business and encourage others to do so, and donate some of those dolls to the emergency rooms in the hospital that service folks in the region. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, we're looking for the bright spots in all of this that's going on. And please share with us your bright spots. I see a question in the Q&A. Let me see. Can you recommend someone who could assist with a SBA loan denial based on my credit? So that's something that I would answer immediately. Have you sat down with a SCORE counselor or someone from Seed Corporation? I'll answer that initially just by saying, Lori Driscoll over at Seed could probably give you some guidance. Eli, would you also?
Yeah, so
comment?
Chris, that's great advice. If it is an EIDL loan that they've been denied, folks have 6 months for a reconsideration. So as I mentioned, EIDLs do have a hard pull on the credit and require a minimum, score, which is pretty low, the minimum to begin with. But they do require, a minimum credit score. So folks definitely need to work with one of our resource partners, anyone that works with folks on improving credit, and just get the credit repaired a little bit, the score perhaps in the low 600s, and give the EIDL another try. or submit for a reconsideration, right? If it's within that 6-month window. So that
So
would be my
the term reconsideration. You just have to tell them this is not a new application; it's a reconsideration.
of a denied application, exactly. So if it's
Okay.
denied for any reason, folks have 6 months to submit a reconsideration request.
Can the amount be lowered? I mean, to see what they could qualify for, meaning they may have applied for 100, but they might qualify for 35. Are they told that, or?
Yeah, so under the EIDL, there is no amount that you can request. It's a needs-based
Okay.
type of an application, so you really cannot request a higher or lower amount. It's what you're eligible for, in a sense, right? So it works very different than anything else, and that is, although it's cash flow driven, it's not looked at the same type of underwriting as a normal traditional loan would be.
That's very helpful. Any other questions that we have? We have our panelists here on. Okay, that was answered. I'm just checking out the chat here. Let's see. Okay, Eli's phone number is there if you want to follow up with him on his answer regarding the loan denial and other resources. So also information there on the testing, and that's very helpful. I know a lot of people are facing that, having somebody tell them that, gee, they got tested and they had been together, and what do I do now? It seems abstract until that happens. I can tell you from personal experience that happened, and all of a sudden it changes everything in terms of where you're supposed to go and where where you're not supposed to go, and in terms of staying in your house and not spreading it around unintentionally. So that information is there. Looking through my notes, do you have anything you want to add, Margaret, or wrap up? Do you want to thank Emma and Lexi for coordinating the technical end of this and posting all the information. I see that they posted the raft resources up to $10,000 per family to cover mortgages and rents. Margaret?
No, that was it. You did mention the work share, and any companies that are interested in reducing hours and allowing so you can reduce your hours. So for example, an employee working 40 hours, maybe works 20 hours, they can collect unemployment based off the other 20. Really helps with employee retention. If you are looking at layoffs, this is a layoff aversion program. Sue is really a really great go-to on this, but I'm always glad to pinch hit. But maybe in our next remarks, we can kind of talk about that in more depth. But if they're in the interim, if that's something that a company thinks is helpful, please call Sue or I, and we will walk you through it. It's a great tool.
Agreed. And the Workforce Training Fund is also something that's available, over $21 million a year set aside for training. And again, it might be that you have new equipment as a result of COVID, or you might have new protocols as a result of COVID, and you can actually get paid to train your staff in new methods and new equipment by applying for these funds. And some of them are pretty rapid response, like $10,000 you can get fairly quickly if you're implementing a new piece of equipment and whatnot.
Massasoit Community College provides technical assistance to companies accessing that through their corporate education. So Sue and I, that's workforce training funds, the safety training grants, safety consultations, kind of low-hanging fruit of state resources to access. And it's something we always talk to companies about. It's applicable to everybody. For example, right now with COVID, human resources, it's always that collateral duty, right, for these small companies. So hey, you're doing payroll, and now you're HR. Well, with COVID, that's been pretty overwhelming. And so let's say you wanted to certify someone in HR in your company so that you understand that you're meeting all these rules and regulations. They can take the class at Massasoit, boom, they're certified, you've skilled them up, and you're paying for it with a grant. So I'd love to maybe put that as a topic, and let's see where we're at in December. Sue and I, that's we present on that regularly. And I know we've mentioned a little bit here, but maybe we can put some focus around it. And if we want, invite someone maybe from Massasoit
Yeah, that December timeframe is good because the state has announced that unemployment tax rates are going to go up starting in January pretty significantly. As you can imagine, a lot of people have applied for unemployment and the fund is low. So they're going to be raising the rates on all current employers. So the reason I bring that up is A, to prepare for it in your budget, but secondly, you can avoid, some insurances and costs of doing business for your employees. So for example, we had 30 employees from a local company go through some safety training that we did. They submitted those certificates to their workers' comp insurance company, and they got a significant reduction on their premium. So that savings, may offset some of the increase in the unemployment. So that's a great idea. Maybe we can combine those.
In 25,000 a year for safety training, right? That's,
Yep.
And it's not a cumbersome process. And it's available to all companies. So we want to, improve safety in the workforce and reduce accidents. In a lot of cases, like you said, cost savings, right? So let's say you have vehicles on the road and your employees are driving for your company. They have their license. Like, hey, great, they know how to drive, right? Well, let's talk about that. Now that they, have driving experience, well, how often are they on the road for work, and what is the liability covering? And you're could be in the high risk pool because of your fleet. Well, you send your employees to driver safety training, right? That's much more beyond how to learn to be behind the wheel, but how to look at avoiding accidents, and they will also give you a certificate. And now you're turning that into your auto insurance company, reducing your auto insurance. So there's these ancillary benefits. So the priority is reducing, improving safety in the workforce, 2, protecting your employees, and then 3, reducing your cost and your risk. I mean, it's win-win-win. So we're glad to, that's literally presented to the Milton Chamber and had that in my slide deck yesterday. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll bring that to you when you just schedule that one.
Well, you remind me that the chamber received a $15,000 grant a few years back to train all of our staff in CPR, and also we had just purchased new defibs for the building because we host a lot of meetings in the building, but many of us didn't know how to use it. So we went through that training, and that was very, very helpful to have that skill for first responders and first aid, CPR, and defib use. So. Again, a very easy grant to apply for, and all of the vendors, all the teachers, trainers are already pre-approved. You just select them, call them, and then they show up. So it was very, very easy for us. So encouraging folks to take a look at some of these options and resources. So again, thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Eli, for being with us. Thank you, Emma and Lexi, for coordinating the technology piece of this and posting the resources. We will be back on the 4th and the 18th with these calls. We also will have our annual meeting next Wednesday at noon. We hope you can join us. Thanks to our sponsors and the support that we received for this annual meeting this year, which was extensive. We are opening it up at this point to anybody who would like to participate. So if you let us know that you would like to participate for free, we will send you the link within 24 hours of the event, and you can participate for free. So the speaker is phenomenal. It's a great, feel-good kind of event, and we hope that you will join us if you are available. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a nice Thanksgiving and enjoys time with some family, not all your family, under 10, and stay safe out there. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.